So we are live, guys. Welcome, 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 welcome. How is everybody today?
Tonight, or morning for Australians. Because who knows? If you're Australian, say hi. But don't be the guy that's not Australian and says hi anyway. Don't be Australian baiters.
Good day, mate.
Good morning, mate. It's the morning, surely.
Yes, yeah. Well, okay. There you go. Hey, guys. Sorry we were a little bit late. Having some issues, so we are here now, and we're excited to talk about what we know about Prodigy, anyway. And yeah,
and you'll get to stare at the animated Janeway's face for a while. Our gift to you.
Janeway looks pretty good in CGI form, gotta say. So.
Doesn't necessarily look like Janeway. Like if you swap the hair out, you wouldn't say Janeway, but that's okay. Yeah. In context, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I think it looks like her. I think they did a good job, but
they weren't going for like a photoreal look, as in like
no.
It's weirdly proportioned on purpose.
Apparently she was originally, it looked a lot more cutesy, and she told them she wanted it changed. So, yeah. Sergeant Montgomery, though, $5. Star Trek Voyager episode Counterpoint. Janeway gives way to shuttlecraft. Give away 2 shuttlecrafts to telepath seeking safety through a wormhole. Long live Trekyards.
Okay, fact of the day.
Yeah, facts are good, man. Share your facts, guys.
Yeah,
Janeway.
I mean, I quite like Voyager, so I'm you know, I'm game for Voyager facts. You know?
Yes.
Yes. And as soon as you watch DS9, you're like, oh, I miss the tech of Voyager. And as soon as you watch DS9, Voyager, you're like, oh, I miss the violence of DS9.
I don't know about that, but
no, I know. It's just
95 people here, 55 likes, guys. Hit that like button, please. We'd appreciate that. And Jeffrey Jacobs is here with $2. Woot woot, 50 likes, and 3 cheers for Kate. Hip hip hurrah! Hip hip hurrah! Hip hip hooray! Right, hurrah! There you go.
And I've been saying this to you for a couple of days now. I'm quite intrigued with this live because obviously we are doing this back to back to back. Picard, then Discovery, then Lower Decks, and Prodigy. Obviously, this is the least known of the shows, but I'm super interested to see how much of an audience each one has as a yardstick. How many people join these lives and super chat and are engaged. They've been really fantastic, all 3. I'm hoping people jump in for this one, but it's an interesting yardstick. Hopefully we have a great conversation here because I think they've given a big chunk of information, and honestly, way more information than the picture of 5 people that meant basically nothing to us. This is a far more informative live, so I'm excited to just debate and think and talk and whatever.
Yes. Yeah. That's his way of saying, guys, put in your thoughts and ideas of what you think you guys have, figured out about the show, what you know, if you've heard something else that we haven't, let us know. And a great way to get us to see that is the super chat. So this is, I think, where Samuel's going to share this.
Yeah, I was like, let me go share that before you start on about it. So I'll go, and then you can continue. You can part 2, Stuart.
Yeah. Well, guys, there you have it. Super chats are a great way to get your comment read, noticed, heard, be part of the community discussion. So is the regular chat as well. But super chats are a great way to support us and keep helping us keep bringing this content to you, because we absolutely love doing so. In the meantime, though, hit the like button. That's always helpful, and share it around with people that you know might enjoy it. Also, make sure you're subscribed and you click the notification bell icon to all. I know we keep saying that. You're like, well, YouTubers say that, isn't it? It's actually important, and it helps the analytics of the channel. So if you can, it's a great way to help us for free, is just to click the notification bell icon to all. And, because then YouTube knows that you guys are interested and you want to see our content, and it shows them that there's a lot of interest in the channel. So if you can, please do so. Really appreciate it. In the meantime, hit that like button, guys. 120 people here with 70 likes. We can easily hit 100. So another 30 likes, please, would be awesome. And don't forget that you can also join the channel at the rank of Commander, Captain, Admiral, Fleet Admiral, or Federation President, and support us on a monthly basis that way. Or head on over to Trekyards, Patreon/Trekyards, to help us on a monthly basis over there if you choose to do that as well. Also, you can send PayPal. The information is down in the description of every video. It's just trekyards@hotmail.com. shoot us a PayPal. Let us know in the regular chat that you've done so, and then we will check the email and read your comment or question via the email, so that you guys can have your voice heard that way as well. Many different ways to help us out, and if you're able to, please consider doing it, because it does make a big difference. So, got another super chat, but I'm gonna wait for Samuel to get back before we get to that. And yeah, let us know, guys. Well, actually, to you are in this show. Let us know if it's excited, not excited, or kind of meh about this new animated show. I'm super intrigued by what they're going to do, so let us know in the chat. Spam it. Excited, meh, or not excited. If you're not excited, you're probably not here, because you probably wouldn't want to watch. But let us know, because we want, like Samuel said, we want to get a kind of gauge as to what people are thinking. So, and BJ Turan, $2. Will it be like Clone Wars and Rebels? Don't know. You see a little bit of the animation style here with the 5 or the cast members, and then the Janeway. Oh, but I would assume it's going to be similar to Clone Wars and Rebels. Yes.
Yeah. So what's the news then, Stuart?
Well, look, there's Janeway. We see Janeway. We also find out that this takes place in the Delta Quadrant. Series takes place in the year 2383, and is in the Delta Quadrant. So, which is interesting, because Janeway is a emergency training hologram, and it's based on Captain Janeway. So you'd assume it's a hologram that was created after they returned to the Alpha Quadrant. And so the ship that they discover has the training program, but it's in the Delta Quadrant. So is it another accident? Is something gone wrong? Are they pushing out that far now? It'll be interesting to see, and we'll have a few things to probably talk about idea-wise in that regard. So
yeah, it got way more interesting as a show.
Yeah,
because we would never have thought Delta Quadrant, except the Talaxian reference, but they could be easily in the Alpha Quadrant at that point, or Beta Quadrant. So actually put in the Delta Quadrant, it's ballsy as all hell as a story. It also means they don't have to link to any previous canon, because you can easily justify we didn't explore most of it. That's fine. But also having the Delta Quadrant, obviously they got Kate back, and you would like to think that means it is going to be, in a small essence, a Voyager continuation in some very small way. Like, you'll see Vidians and Hirogen, the stuff that people loved with Voyager, because that is the most fertile ground when it comes to alien races that are actually interesting. TNG has some, but a lot of them are the TOS ones. Voyager has, and DS9 has like the 4. It's not known for its aliens, like beyond the original aliens. Voyager is they're all new. That's the whole point. And a lot of them are hit. Many of them are misses. Many of them are who cares. But there's a lot of really good ones there. So hopefully this is them kind of telling us that, we can see those sorts of factions come back in a really big way, and that's like, it's in a sense a continuation of Voyager in a small C.
Yeah,
give its own flavor. Yeah.
And it makes sense to why none of the aliens are really ones we recognize, except for maybe the one that might be a Talaxian. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Because a lot of people had said the first time we got this image, looking forward to seeing some races that they knew, or species that they knew. And the crystal guy could have been something, I forget what people were saying that he could have been. But no, the fact that it's in the Delta Quadrant is really cool. And it could be that maybe these kids find the ship and want to return it to Starfleet, find out where Starfleet's located, and start on the mission. They want to do the right thing, because originally it was like this band of kids finds a starship and goes on an adventure. It sounds like a bunch of jackasses, but if they're actually wanting to do the right thing and give the ship back, that I can see that being how this is structured, considering it's a kids show teaching values, and it's Star Trek. It's got to teach values, right? So I think that's an interesting idea.
Just hopefully not like the anti-drug speech that Tasha gave Wesley, because everyone cringes at that. Like, that's bad. Yeah. Objectively bad as a scene, although Tasha's quite good in it, which is the annoying thing. So obviously, morals and messages through good storytelling, not through actually telling them on screen. Wasn't a film where someone looks at the camera and says, that means slightly off camera, but basically two cameras say, drugs are bad, kids. And it's like, yeah, you just failed your message there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the context from what I've seen in the other interviews is they find the ship because they are like a gang of hooligans in a sense, but and obviously Delta Quadrant is not a wasteland, but it's a wild land. It's just a place. It's not interconnected in the same way our galaxies are. And so they look in the databases and find out. I think they said in the interview they found to use the ship quite quickly, but then they find all the ideals and they find it really interesting. I don't know if they say they try and return the ship. That seems like a bit of, not so a fool's errand, but too long a mission. But obviously, where's the if there is no larger plot of them trying to do something specific, then it is just a Trek show involving a Federation ship in the Delta Quadrant, yet with no Federation-ness to it. Because it's a Federation ship, like, so it'll be some sort of art design, although since it's post-Picard, it'll be a new art design, or it might be a familiar art design, but since this Janeway program is an older thing, you'd assume it'd be an older design, because they, why would you put a brand new ship with a Janeway from this, unless it was like unless the captain of the ship before they died, liked this physical iteration more. Because that's the thing, are they better going with a brand new ship or like a refit of an old ship?
I would hope a brand new ship. Like, that's what we want to see. We want to see what the ship is for sure. The interesting thing for me about the Janeway program is it's an emergency training program. So to train them how to use the ship, probably that's how they're going to find it. They're going to, I wish we knew how to work this, and all of a sudden it'll pop up. But I think Janeway is probably going to start teaching them about Federation ideals. It's like that mom teacher kind of vibe, and that should be very interesting to see. But as for the ship, I don't know. Like, okay, when is this set? This 2383.
It's 4 years after Picard, so it's the most future show we have. As weird as that sounds.
Oh, that's very interesting.
It's Picard season 5.
Damn.
Yeah, which gives it total freedom, and it's in the Delta Quadrant. Like that's a very odd placement, but it's cool. Like, that's a good way of doing it. It definitely implies a new ship.
Mm-hmm.
But then they have to very carefully pick what ship and what starship and what class, because lost in the Delta Quadrant, like you say, is it lost or sent or failed mission or wormhole or whatever. But if the ship's a big ship, or would it be more of a small ship like Equinox? I feel like a small ship should be better.
Yeah.
In every way.
Yeah.
Equinox or smaller. But then again, kind of like with Atlantis, you've not necessarily seen yet, but there's lots of episodes of Atlantis where they're just exploring the city and find a MacGuffin, because it's a big city. So if it is a big cruiser-sized starship, then obviously they can then be searching it for seasons, and because there's only like 5 of them. They're not going to be able to look at every deck, every crew quarter, etc. But then you ask the question of, is it going to be something it's a kids show? Is it really going to start with something truly dark and horrifying, where they walk in and there's corpses everywhere, and it's like, what happened to the 300 crew members that died? Well, they're here, decaying. Which that's very, because the thing is, if it's a, or is it a damaged ship from a space battle and they abandoned ship, in which case are Federation people there? But you get the sense of a bit of isolationist thing, or is it an automated ship? Like I say, the episode is post Janeway getting back, so it's not as if they're sending a ship to find Voyager, so it takes away an automated rescue ship that was never mentioned because it was failed, and even if it was a test ship to try and go to the Delta Quadrant to see what's going on, again, it wouldn't be a big ship, and then you wouldn't want it to be like runabout size, because then there's no exploration at all. So I'm assuming there'll be a real reason why the ship is there, like a real reason. And especially if there's a Janeway program on board, that would imply it wasn't an accident. Like, an accident. Like, because why would that program be the one defaults to, out of all the people and all the places?
Yeah, exactly. It's actually interesting that there's a Janeway modeled emergency training program. I'd like to hear the story behind that. So hopefully we do get
that. It's the MacGuffin to get her in the story, which is great. Yeah. I mean, that's a very unusual way, because
actually it probably comes up as like a blank slate when they call it up, and then they're like, give us the one that knows the most about the Delta Quadrant. then become her. So
actually you might have some absurd cameo, like actually starts with Rob Picardo, and they're like, Literally, and they're just like, no, someone has who knows about the, and it's just like, wow, that was Robert's like 45-second cameo. He would totally do that as well. He'd totally do that.
You can see kids doing that too, like, well, we don't know much about this area. Is there anybody that can help us? Yeah, absolutely. I think and I just thought of that now, but because I was wondering why it was Janeway selected for that, but you could probably change any of the emergency holographic things to look who anybody in the database, right? So.
But then you double down on is it an accident? Because if it was an intentional ship to the Delta Quadrant, you could imagine they would add in Janeway's reports, and therefore you've got that, because who better to negotiate with the races in Delta Quadrant than someone who can tell you, well, real me was here 4 years ago. But then you'd think it should be Admiral Janeway, because that's the current iteration. You tend to model yourself after the current. That said, obviously, if the Janeway, because it would be certainly interesting if this Janeway ends up like taking command, quote unquote, a few times, and they find a Talaxian colony, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's Janeway." She's like, "Hello," and same uniform, same look, is more trustworthy than new uniform, because then you're not, you know what I mean? So that could be a way of getting through situations and having that, because there aren't really holograms in Delta Quadrant. It's not really a tech that exists unless the Herodians spread that technology. So it'd certainly be a way of having, again, another MacGuffin of having her be able to deal directly with species. Obviously not. Well, I said that, the Doctor's pretty sentient.
Not everybody's happy with Janeway, though.
That's the other thing. Yes.
Well, going back to the poll we did here, we got hopeful, excited, optimistic, curious, excited, optimistic, interesting, interested. There's a lot there. Like, people are on board with this, and that's good so far. Hopefully you guys are, looking forward to it and not just kind of, it's new track, and I probably won't like it, because you got to give it a chance.
Didn't you say it was 2403, the date? Or did I hear that wrong?
You heard that wrong. It's 2383.
I heard 2403. I was like, it's 4 years after Picard. Oh, yeah, because Central Montgomery says actually 5 years after Voyager comes back.
Oh.
Whereas I heard 3, and I linked that into post-Picard. So actually it's pre-Picard by quite a bit, which is actually better. That limits it. So now they can't fuck up the art design. They have to do it looking correct. Okay.
You say that. You say they can't.
Well,
at least her uniform and comm badge and stuff looks right, so it's not stylized.
No, they got the comm badge wrong.
Well, hold on. Let's get into the super chats, and we'll talk about that.
Okay. I'll go grab my actual comm badge so I can actually show.
Yeah. Let's see. Luke Celeste says puts in $10, so thank you so much. She has no rank on her collar.
Well,
That's very true.
Holograms don't. So that's consistent with canon.
Holograms don't.
Yes.
Jarzia, $5. Setting a story seems interesting enough. Less excited for Lower Decks, given kids are the target audience, but some shows like that have surprised me before. Less excited than for Lower Decks. Okay.
For kids is relative, though. Clone Wars was for kids, and it really wasn't for kids.
Yeah.
And besides, you
can imagine.
Sorry.
I was going to say, you can imagine this Janeway teaching them, how to do the right things, and they kind of have a moral at the end of every episode, like He-Man and G.I. Joe.
And what did you learn today, kids? Don't kill Kazon! That's right, kids! Stun, not kill.
Don't judge them because their hair is stupid.
Oh, yeah. Just buy them hair gel. It'll solve all the problems. I think it's fair to say that Mulgrew harps on about the whole I'm doing it for the kids every single time. It's her entire vibe on this. It's like, I want to teach kids. It's like, that's great. Are we going to get the good stories as well? Because that's the most important thing. And then you help teach the next generation through good stories with good characters. The teaching is not... Otherwise, it's just Saturday night. Otherwise, it's just a Saturday morning cartoon that teaches people things, which is not what... the original 60s show taught people, and that wasn't for kids, but also wasn't not for kids. But that could just be because she can't give so much away that she's obviously just specific and...
Yeah. Dan23 says Star Trek Prodigy is set to premiere in 2021 on the streaming service Paramount Plus with the first its first 10 episode season. We got 10 episodes. The season will then air on Nickelodeon before the second season is on Paramount Plus. So yeah, it will be on Paramount Plus first, then go to Nickelodeon,
Mm-hmm.
and it's set for 2021. So by the end of the year. So that's the thing.
But we know they're doing season 2, so they're going to go straight into that.
Got a few more super chats real quick before we look at the con badge. Eugene, 500 rubles. What ship? Another secret Voyager shuttle? Yeah, it's the Arrow shuttle.
Someone did joke about that, although obviously not, because it wasn't, and also that's not a ship, it's a shuttle. But yeah,
yeah. Ozzy Maderos, $10.
Oh, thank you.
The rank is on her arm. Looks like, and Badgie will teach them lessons today. Federation President, skeleton hands. Her rank's on her sleeve. What do you mean? I don't see that.
It's her coffee's on her sleeve, or on her hand.
So is her heart.
And actually, very good hand, very good fingers.
Yeah,
Weirdly.
It's a very nice animation style. I'm looking forward to seeing it for sure. Because you can imagine the ship is going to look like a Federation ship interior. You're going to see her walking through the hallways with these other characters. That's going to be beautiful if it's done well. Like that. Think about it.
And it's definitely, a smart idea for them to do this, because the bright colour helps to contrast against the internal silver and greys of the era, but also she's not known for the brown grey style, and so if you want the Federation aesthetic and the radical non-Federation aesthetic, it helps to have both together. Then you can kind of win. Although I'm assuming that as the show goes on, unlike Voyager, they're going to actively modify the ship, and it'll get less and less and less Federation-y as they need to tweak it, fix it, break it. So it will actually be, by the end of season 2, it will not look very Federation, because they'll keep doing stuff to it. Because it's not, because they're not trying to keep it fixed, they're trying to keep it going, any means necessary. So if you have to swap the nacelle with something janky, they'll do it.
Which will be fun, because, that's what Voyager, people want to see Voyager get jacked up and have to do repairs like that. So Janeway will have a chance to be part of that, maybe. Omar El Masri puts in $5. The Borg and their Delta races hear rumors of Janeway back in the Delta Quadrant. Run away! Starfleet is like, we didn't do anything. We swear. Yeah, there's hard feelings with a lot of the races they came into. So could prove for some interesting times for sure. T. Reed True, $5. Maybe they run into Neelix, since he's in the Delta Quadrant ambassador. Maybe Janeway gave him this program to help other people. That's brilliant as well. I like that. Maybe it was sent there as a Federation representative to get them ready for contact with the Alpha Quadrant. I kind of like that, because Neelix did stay around.
Yeah, they've only given us a bare bones.
That makes me apprehensive now, though. What if this is a hologram being sent through the network, or a network, to Neelix for that purpose? So it's not even a Federation ship.
Well, no, they say explicitly it's a Federation starship.
Okay.
So that's why that doesn't make sense. Although, it could, like we said a few minutes ago, it could be sent to, even see Neelix, and then it gets, it goes through a wormhole, goes through an anomaly, gets lost.
A temporal anomaly?
And
there's a convergence of awesomeness.
And even, once more. No. Long way from there or long way from home? Actually, damn it, that works the best. No, I forgot it completely. Dear me.
Damn it. Jeffrey Jacobs, $5. 100, nice. Onto 150. Maybe the ship was one they sent unmanned to the Delta Quadrant to help. But it got there after they got back, just to guess. No, because it has... No, I don't buy that with the Janeway hologram. Like I said, it could be a proto-holodeck program with no... And they overlay Janeway on it, sure, because she might be in the database, but...
Yeah, it has to. It has to be post. Otherwise, this character means not too much in the grand scheme. You wouldn't send Janeway to save Janeway. Even though Janeway did send herself, but you know what I mean. She's only famous afterwards, and the idea, not that we ever knew much about post Nemesis, whatever, because there was nothing. But I can imagine she's looked up to because she got a crew home. She dealt with more than Picard did. She had to deal with a lot of shit, and she had to help her crew and get them out, and less casualties I think than even Picard did, etc. So
Core Zeon says one of the things that they said was that the hologram, in addition to being the training program, is also the ship's artificial intelligence. that might indicate that it is a unmanned ship for some reason that was sent there. Like we got the what is the episode, the ship that I absolutely despise?
Dauntless.
Yes, that's the one. Where that was the premise. The Federation made the ship, sent it there to bring them back. I don't see that being a thing, but
well, I mean, their wording is interesting because ships don't have artificial intelligence in the sense, and you know that's not how that works. There is a ship's computer that has some level of ability to talk, and obviously you can plug a computer into a talking like program, but it's not an artificial intelligence in the abstract sense. And to add that in would be a bit dodgy, I think. Otherwise, that completely changes all the things. Opens a big door just for a kids show, you know. Now, if you're saying, just like Andy Dick, you know, turned on and then Prometheus, and now he can help save the ship. If you're saying, well, then training hologram, but if you're saying that this thing, like the computer defaulted to activating holograms to help save the ship, and she was one of them, etc. You know, and then if she's close enough to Janeway, you know, how much is training program, how much is Janeway's personality? You know, is the training program more of a what she ends up being, whereas actually she's just a Janeway hologram to talk to people, who then has the same commanding vibe. And so as soon as she's activated, she'll be like, whoa, what's going on here? Let me help you guys. Even though in the context of the show, she's a training program, so not literally you know what I mean? Like that, those are mutually sort of exclusive things, unless you kind of play one figuratively, which I kind of would prefer. You know, she gets turned on for a certain reason and then ends up being the mentor because we need her to teach us how to use the ship. So it's just more of a coincidentally happens to be the teaching role.
Yeah. Oh, well, 243 people here, 109 likes, guys. Hit that like button. You should hit 200 likes easily. So please do if you haven't already. Sergeant Montgomery, $5.
Thank you.
My previous comment: the 2 shuttlecraft Janeway gives away could have a Starfleet holographic training program on it, or future Admiral Janeway shuttle. But a shuttle, it could be that they bring in a shuttle that was left by Voyager, upload the computer core into their ship, but then it's not a Federation ship now, is it? So
there's very fine lines with this.
Yeah. I'm just gonna, this next super chat, 500 rubles. Thank you, Eugene. It's definitely not. Voyager had graviton emitting lepton amplified tachyon orchestrator, aka gelato machine, which forced shuttles to rematerialize in the shuttle bay at the beginning of the next episode. Yeah, the Voyager gelato machine. I like that. That's great.
It's sad when people don't realize how easy it is to make a shuttle and a torpedo. You just need certain materials. It's not hard. They've been doing it for hundreds of years. You see how you see how the Star Trek 5 shuttle looks like the Star Trek TNG shuttle mostly? Same rough design. You know, you see how long they were building Katingas and Birds of Prey, not that hard to build.
And Nathan says, maybe it was an experimental ship with more automation and slipstream drive sent out for a test cruise. Add in an accident, solar flare, etc., and the ship ends up damaged in the Delta Quadrant. But see, that's the thing.
That's
how did it get to the Delta Quadrant? Is it an accident or is it deliberately sent? And I like the accident idea, but how many accidents get you to the Delta Quadrant? What is the Delta Quadrant, just like a gutter for accidents?
I mean, do you call Equinox and Voyager accidents?
Yes.
Then you've
and
had.
That's what I mean.
So lots. I mean, it's the place, Stuart. What do you mean? It's always the place.
It's like it's a magnet.
And you know what, Stuart? I'll be brutally honest. This doesn't fit with the timeline, but I would have zero problem with a third Federation ship being lost in the Delta Quadrant, but just went in the other direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I have no problem because the caretaker probably stole many things. I would actually find it funny if the third ship actually went to DS9 because they thought, oh yeah, Gamma Quadrant wormhole, that's a much shorter route, and so they just did this.
Yeah.
And we just cut to them in the same uniform, like, oh my god, we're still on the way. For God's sake, it's been 20 years.
And don't forget the Ford pickup truck and the 86ers or 37s. Yeah. Whatever they were.
Yeah. On the Voth.
Yeah, the Voth City ship. They were from Earth. Yeah.
I mean, maybe the Voth stole the ship and took it, and we like Janeway.
Yeah.
But do we like com badges, Stuart?
Well, we do. We've got 2 more super chats first. Starship Resolution, £2. It could be a new emergency command hologram. Well, no, they say emergency training hologram specifically. So.
But that could be the abstract. It becomes a training, but then you wouldn't call it emergency training, because if it's also an emergency training, the hell's an emergency training hologram?
I've been wondering that myself.
Yeah. I think they're shorthanding this. I don't think that makes as much sense.
Well,
conceptually.
Not a band account, $2. We still get to see Admiral Janeway in action. Be cool if Admiral Janeway shows up at the end of the series, like meets the kids for real. They meet the person they've been. Yeah, that'd be awesome. And something happens to the hologram, it goes offline, you're all sad. Then 2 episodes later, you meet the real Janeway, and it's like, ah.
Well, here's different. It's always different. And to be fair, I think. I don't think they necessarily know where they're going, because it's such a broad concept. Like Voyager didn't know how many seasons or whatever. But I could see them, if this ship is from roughly the time which they find it, give or take a year or two, there is knowledge of talking to Earth in the database, bits and bobs. And yes, obviously the way they got home was an extremely radical solution, etc., etc. But I would be surprised if it took them too many seasons to contact Earth, in which case I would assume, you'd have Janeway on Janeway action.
You knew that would get me.
I did. But I think that would actually be a strong payoff. If we get 2 seasons in season 3, and all of a sudden we cut to San Francisco, and there's Admiral Janeway, and she's like, "Yes, come in," and it's like, "Admiral, we have news." "What do you mean?" "You're calling." "What?" "Beep." Captain, Admiral, that could be really fun, and she has to help. But then we wouldn't try and help that crew get home, because their home is in their own quadrant, so it'd be more. And would they? Although how long do you to claim salvage rights on a ship, etc. I think, don't they say in Lower Decks 70 years? I don't know.
Something like that. Now we can talk about com badges.
Hello, Stuart. As you know, I have many costumes I got in the pandemic, and I obviously have a full Voyager.
Yes.
Great. Now, so I can just pull a com badge off the Voyager, which I have. And as you can see, the correct Voyager has a gold rim.
Yes.
They've got a silver rim.
Mine does too, even though mine's super shiny.
Yes. So they got the com badge wrong. I don't know why. Since you can tell blatantly. Even
it's
Picard.
A small thing.
But it's like the blinkies. It's
so
like...
they can sell merchandise. Here, buy the Prodigy com badge.
But you know what I mean? It's like it's just a mistake. Like they're good about getting no rank pips and the face, but they can't get the com badge right, given the fact that this has been around for 25 years. It's in hundreds of people, millions of people's homes. Like they use them in Picard, and that was almost the same. That just had the rims were slightly thicker. It's like it doesn't look as good. It looks more plasticky. This has a certain volume to it. That one just misses. Wait, Stuart, the Delta's the wrong around. Oh, it's my badge. Ignore me. That's my. Well, actually, the Delta is slightly different. The way the cut is a little bit different. But yeah, it just bugs me. It's just your brain. When I painted my phaser rifle all those years ago, there was one color it was missing until the last day I painted it, and my brain knew it was wrong until I put the last color in. Same thing. Their badge is wrong. Here's the correct one. Hopefully they fix that before they come to finishing. But it's just sad because it's unnecessarily mistake.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's a little nitpicky, honestly, but it's something that they should know. It would take just a little bit.
Well,
and gold would look good around.
See, I understand nitpicky, but if there's only 3 elements to the costume, the undershirt, the jacket, and the badge, it's not nitpicky if one of the 3 elements is wrong. That's not a nitpick. That's a fundamental one of 3 items. Like if it was, if in a shot of Lower Decks they got a medical person had red boots, not white. It was like, that's a. Yeah. It's not that important really, but the badge is literally the icon of a lot of these costumes. The iconic element.
Yeah.
Yeah.
E.R. Mixon's craziest theories has a crazy theory, I guess. Maybe the ship had a very important and pressing mission, like maybe Neelix and his people need help, and there is a crisis happening in the Delta Quadrant due to the Borg defeat. Sure, I have no issue with that. If Starfleet Starfleet would go and help Neelix as an ambassador for the, he's the ambassador to the Alpha Quadrant.
Well, Janeway would
Delta Quadrant.
order them to, because they're good friends.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that actually is a good idea as well. And I do like the power vacuum if the Borg have in fact.
Can't hear you for a second.
No. Oh, I don't know what he said. If the Borg in fact did, there's a power vacuum there now, there could be trouble brewing, and I do like that. That's actually pretty good. And an abandoned starship, doesn't that imply that someone had to be on it when it was sent? Not necessarily. That's semantics, but maybe the comm badge will be fixed when it airs. Possibly.
Simple mistake, but yeah, a mistake. But the next thing makes sense, although this is a kids show that clearly is going for a non-Starfleet vibe, and so if they're trying to completely remove themselves and then make it about Neelix and the Borg, that doesn't feel connected in the right way to me as a writer. But also, it's a kids show. Do you want to have scary Borg? I doubt there'll be an element in the show. Probably we'll hear them saying as characters, like one of them's like, "Oh, did you hear about the Borg? Yeah, they disappeared 5 years ago. Weird, right?" Like there'll have to be something because it's such an important part of the legacy, but won't be as a scary "we're going to try and kill you" threat, because that's very unkid-like. Maybe for Halloween special, but yeah.
And Nathan, head actor, says, we know of 5 on-screen ships that the caretaker brought to the Delta Quadrant. The Equinox, the Cardi ship, the Valjean, the unmanned warhead thing, and Voyager. Yeah.
Yeah, but there could always be more.
Oh, absolutely. Jersey at $5 could be a ship that got lost in transwarp conduits or Vardoir corridors, and the training hologram was sent via Neelix after the kids find it. Sure. That's actually pretty good too. Federation ship, but get download or upload from Starfleet. Sure. Yeah.
Yes, in a lot of ways, but no in a lot of ways. The Vardoir corridors were a long way that way, so that is deep in the Delta Quadrant rather than close. So that's a long way back. And who's picking up her signal then? Who are they sending the signal to? Not the ship, because they wouldn't have been able to get to a ship. It's too far away. So you have to send to another ship, which then... So you're missing a step there.
E.R. Mixon's craziest theory says, I think it's a kid's show in the way that Clone Wars is a kid's show. Hey, I'm down with that. I like that because Clone Wars fleshed out a lot of what was going on and wasn't pandering to kids, but was aimed at kids.
Well, remember, Star Wars was aimed at kids. That's what George said, even though in his second film, he loses his hands, the big villain murders people, almost kills his best friend, and says his father shows him having bloodline that kills the entire galaxy. Stuart, not a kid's film. Sorry, no. Like in the first one, do you remember how they call 2 stormtroopers into their ship and then kill them mercilessly in cold blood and then take their armor? Which means they murder them, they strip their armor off and then wear it. Don't think kids show people are that gruesome and murdery. Just saying. Not kid show. Might be young adult.
Says the Kazon take credit for the Borg disappearing and become the new Delta Quadrant superpower. Bum, bum, bum. No, they wouldn't, because they're stupid. We don't know what specific age group it's aimed at, Kirk Sullivan. No.
No, there's no information.
We'll get a pretty good feel for that, like from the first episode. I think we'll know what's going on.
But the age of the people in the trailer or in the image don't look. I mean, they're aliens. Who knows? But it doesn't feel like they're actually children, and children will be so limiting. I think it really is more because I think they know this needs to be for all ages. It just happens to be pitched more in one avenue. So I think it's more just she takes on that parental mothering figure who can then help teach this group, and so it doesn't matter how old the other people are. So I think they even said they were the late teens. I think I read somewhere. Doesn't matter how old they are. Depends how old the vibe is, and if the vibe is I'm here to help teach you right and wrong, then they're morality tales through the lens of people that need to be told everything in terms of who the Federation are, what their ideals stand for, why you can't just be mercenaries and pirates. So it's more. Hopefully, they cross the fingers. It's not actually aimed at kids so much as You know, it's not serious sci-fi. It's not dramatic dark stuff. Like, they're trying to obviously pitch it next to other shows. You've got the action show Discovery, they call it a big action show. You've got the more book cinema, what do they call it, the more novella deep show Picard, that's how they called that. They've got the comedy show Lower Decks, and then they've got the classical show Strange New World. So having the kids show helps differentiate in the line of lineup, even if it's not actually a kids show. It's just more for kids.
Nathan says maybe the silver rim on the comm badge Delta is supposed to be an easy way for Starfleet crew members to be able to tell at a glance who is a hologram. Useful if the fleet is using holograms more. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons holograms don't have rank pips, to differentiate them very quickly. So,
I mean, that's enough though. But a hologram comm badge serves a purpose functionally. I'll go back and look. I'm pretty sure.
The emergency command hologram had one. Boop, boop, boop. That was really cool, by the way.
It was.
Sergeant Montgomery puts in $2 with the message retracted, but thank you so much. No. Not a band account, $2. Will hologram Janeway teach the kids Ambujitsu? Probably not. That's the hologram Riker that they'll have. I could see Riker showing up in this as one of the holograms when they're scrolling through the holograms. It's like, hey kids, I can teach you how to be a horn dog. Next.
Lesson 1, shields and why they should go up. Lesson 2.
Lesson 1, sitting on a chair in an authoritative manner.
No, and I think honestly that's a very, very strong bet that they will, if it's a successful show, like all of the shows I've done so far, when they've been less successful, they pull in a very, very famous character for season 2 to try and get more ratings. This might be that, but in a less sad way, where why not? I mean, Janeway might say, we need to learn from Captain Picard. He's useful. Zzz, let's go to the holodeck, and here he is, and here's that's a perfect avenue, especially as you kind of remove the reality of it, so it almost becomes Lower Decks level. But then you obviously open a door that you can't ever close, really. But there you go. Bring Shatner back. We can finally see the Janeway Shatner scene that nobody ever requested because it's made no sense. But hey, she can teach. He can teach them all about the Kirk Fu. Shatner was animated once. He can be animated again. Just give him. Just promise him more lines than Leonard in his last appearances.
Yeah. Nathan says, alternatively, could Holo Janeway's comm badge be a new version of a mobile holo emitter used by the Doctor? Yeah, it could absolutely be, because maybe it's able to go down on away missions with them, teach them how to do away missions. I'd be fine with that, actually. I'd be fine with the holo emitter thing, but yeah. I
mean, in the limited sense of, okay, sure, but who on earth would design that? Like, who would commission that as part of their TV show? They say, right, make a new mobile emitter and make it a custom comm badge, and they say, I've got an idea. And they turn off saturation for the rim. It's like, here it is, here's my idea. So what have you done? Yeah, I've turned the saturation off. It's so subtle, no one's ever going to see it.
It should have the same kind of like black highlight that the mobile emitter had in the middle of the Delta. That'd be cool.
I like the basic idea there, but it makes so little sense in the real logic of the show. And mobile emitter is meant to be so advanced. Like, even I think in Endgame, the context in Endgame is that he's still unique, that they haven't managed to replicate it even in Endgame, because you can't just replicate 29th century tech. They do not think they would have tried for the 4 years of Voyager they had it. Couldn't do it. Unsuccessful. So I would be surprised if they could replicate the holo emitter for maybe they'll speed up their own holographical emitter technology, but I don't think they could replicate that for a long time. Yeah.
The life dyslexic Riker, the emergency jazz program.
Well, you need music lessons, No, I think we'll definitely see some other people.
Yeah, I'm calling Riker for sure, because he's been in everything else now, so.
He'd have to ask to be, I think, at this point. Or it's got to be the in-joke now. He's been in everything except TOS. And, Lower Decks, you could have him in Lower Decks, go back into TOS and meet Kirk. I'm just saying. And then does that count as TOS? I don't know.
It would be TAS, the animated series. Mark Lawrence,
Thank
$5.
you.
It'll be good for a few seasons and then end in the middle of a great story arc. Star Trek Prodigy Go. No, that's not going to happen. The Clone Wars was a kids channel or a kids show, and it was graphic. Yes, absolutely, Dan. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping Clone Wars vibe, because that would be awesome. That'd be great to see.
But obviously, a show called Clone Wars, like, it's not polite and lovely by its very nature in it. And the main characters are space samurais that killing droids. It's very not bloody, but it's about a war. It's not exactly,
Well, Beast Wars, same thing. It's definitely a kids show.
Well, but it wasn't about a war. It was about people fighting on a planet. There's a grander war, but you don't see the war. You just see these people fighting.
But if war is in the title, that's the thing. That's why in Canada, Beast Wars was actually called Beasties, because you couldn't have wars in the title of a kids show. But
I just mean you do see the war fully in Clone Wars. Like, it's called Wars. I just mean that it's actually takes place during a war. You fully see a war. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
And Good Old Gamer says, the guy in Future End reverse engineered tech from the time ship, didn't he? Not actually. He used the tech he saw as inspiration to make something because he saw it could be done. He was able to understand, if processes can be made, brainwave. He was still a smart guy that could do it. He wasn't able to steal anything. And although he could tap into the ship for power, but that was about it. And he guessed what some stuff did, but, he didn't make that advanced tech. He just made better tech than at the time. But it was 1995. That's not that hard when you have a 20th century ship in front of you.
Yes,
and we all had Starling computers. So, I mean, it was a good time to be a computer fan.
Yeah. Matt Boardman, $5.
Matt,
please be sure to press the like button if you haven't had a chance to yet. Yes, please hit the like button. 154 likes with 253 people here. We can easily hit 200 likes, guys. So hit that like button.
Yeah,
if you haven't.
100%. Please do.
And don't forget to hit that super chat button and throw us some Latin.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now I love idea. Granzia, maybe we'll see another Elorian character. That I could get behind. Another listener. Yeah, that'd be fun. And there's no direct connection to anything, just you have a legacy factor of that person knows things.
Well, there's so many opportunities for bringing back legacy Star Trek characters with holograms, with bringing back different races that we've seen in the Delta Quadrant. Like, there's so much, there's literally a quadrant worth of content that they could do.
Well, 7 years they can tap back into.
Yeah.
And if you go one step further, but again, this is kind of goes away from it being a kids simpler show, but we have no idea what the grander story is going to be. The Hirogen did have holograms. The holograms went bad, but this has been years later, so it's very possible they have more holograms going around, like either they escaped or they made them on purpose. So I wouldn't be surprised if they bump into like a Vulcan ship, obviously not actually a Vulcan ship, but a ship filled with Vulcan holograms, just like with Voyager. Make the conceit that the Hirogens lost control again, but they just wanted their own freedom, and now you have like a whole faction of, wouldn't it be interesting, a whole faction of Alpha Quadrant holograms just going around living their best life. And so you can bump into Klingons, you can bump into Romulans. They're obviously hologrammatical ones, so they're completely tonally different, like what their goals and ambitions are. But visually, it would be fun. Again, an easy thing that would be harder to do in the other shows.
Devo77X, there are now pics of Janeway with the rest of the crew. Well, it's just the first shot. It's the first image we got, just with her between the two other characters. So, same thing. Dan23 says Billy Campbell as Thadian Okuna from TNG will be in this.
Nope, he'll be in Lower Decks.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's the other show.
Yeah.
Two animated shows. Which is great. He was a good fit for that. If he sounds the same.
168 likes. Guys.
Yeah. Well,
200 likes. Let's do it.
And that is a great viewership. I'm kind of pleased how high this went because I'm excited for the show. And I'm certainly more excited the more I hear, because the more it links to canon, the more real it'll feel. And this grounds it in a whole lot of interesting stuff and also very random stuff. But let us know right now, guys, of all the races that were introduced in Voyager, big, small, or mediocre, what race do you most want to see come back? Personal preference, throw in the chat right now. Throw us some names.
If you want to super chat those, that'd be even better. Super chat a race or something you'd like to see, or something, even a legacy character in some holographic form. Let us know, because we definitely have some discussion topics there.
If you super want to see them, then super chat.
ER Mixon's Craziest Series says there's a chance that these characters might not stay in the Delta Quadrant. They could be a way back and forth. Sure, but then Starfleet's going to want their ship back. So with them being far from Starfleet, the kids have to, use the ship.
Well, it's not just that, but Janeway's program should also be to get the ship back. So you've got to have that MacGuffin of all. If there is no way to get back, then she has an obligation to help the kids, the people, the ship. So you've got to make that very clear. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like slap in the middle of the Delta Quadrant. Very much, we can go anywhere.
Yeah. Core Zion, maybe in one of the episodes there will be a cooking episode with a holo of Neelix teaching them cooking until they switch it to a holo of Riker to cook them eggs or pizza. Yes.
Yeah, no, for real.
So we got the Borg, the Krenim.
Krenim.
Alora is mine. Krenim, Hirogen, Vaudouar, 8472. Splorgs.
Oh, yeah.
Tessa's race, Talaxians. Krenim could make this interesting. Ham lizards. Kazon. Think Tank, Okampa. Some good ones there. Tiburon, $5. Ukana's actor said Prodigy. He mentioned Nickelodeon specifically. Oh, did he? Okay.
I guess it was the lady that said it. Cause I was pretty sure he said the other one. Well, that makes no sense then for him to be that. At all. That makes no sense. So.
Planet where time goes by faster.
That's true.
They'd be super advanced.
That'd be cool.
Wow.
Or just some people left during the cycle. They left 3 minutes after Voyager left, but were so advanced they couldn't tell. It's like, yep, we left that many seconds.
Well, Feline Sublime says, just dropping in and rewatching from the beginning. From the Kate Mulgrew interview, I first thought this could have been them finding the remains of a USS Equinox adrift. New ship instead? Mm-hmm. I would love to have them be on the Equinox. That'd be kind of neat, because we love that ship. But anyway, Feline Sublime, when you catch up to this part, we love you.
I mean, the Equinox did kind of blow up quite a lot. I would be surprised how much survived. And also, that would certainly limit you to a totally fucked ship. But I know what you mean. And what's great about what I asked and Peel responded is that they were all of them were good races. All of them were really interesting. Like, you didn't throw a single crap on there. And even Think Tank, which was definitely a cliffhanger. I just watched that one recently. Quite a good episode. Just Voyager is such a good... Westmore did such a good job. I mean, it really was top-tier alien work.
And Matt Borman confirms through TrekMovie.com that Billy Kimball will be on Prodigy. So
that makes no sense.
They'll make it make sense. T. Reed True, $5. Talk Ian's, and for Legacy Hollows, Barkley. Talk Ian's. Oh, the Talaxians. I guess what you mean. Talaxians and Legacy Hollows, Barkley. Barkley would be good to have on. Yeah.
Or just not as a hologram, just as a signal. I mean. It all depends. It all depends if the ship is lost, or sent lost, or, maybe it's sent as an envoy to try and reestablish contact, and then gets damaged, and then the crew. Because it's got to be either automated or the crew abandoned ship. And maybe. What if this is the case? What if the ship gets their freak accident like 2 years before, the crew abandoned ship, but because of whatever's happened to the ship like drifts. Months away, and the crew never find it, and so the mission of the ship is actually to find the crew whose ship it was. And so that's like the first season storyline, and they eventually find them, but they've like gone native, and they've made their own life because they've given up. They're doing their own things. They don't necessarily want to go back home, and then some of them go on the ship and kind of be like, oh yeah, we'll come hang out. I give them a purpose,
Yeah. Unexpected Bagel puts in, love that name, $2.99. I hope they bring back the Kabali
Hmm.
or the Jetlia.
Jet Liar. That's the lady in the
Jetlia.
Kabali episode. Yes, me too. I hope we see the Kabali very soon.
Is that sarcasm?
Nope.
No.
You'll get it. I mean, you'll understand in like a month.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Brian Fuller, $10.
Ooh. Thank you.
I'm kind of on board for all but the Wish.com Klingons. Whatever they were called, that hated the Okampa. Eisenberg played a young one, whatever they were called. The Kazon, yeah.
What was his name?
Wish.com. That's good. Brian Fuller, $5. I also wondering, since it's Janeway hologram, is it an abandoned Delta Flyer or shuttle, since they had so many? Well, they only had one Delta Flyer and then two Delta Flyers, the Delta Flyer 2. But it could be a shuttle, but the shuttle's way small, and for that many crew plus that big guy, I don't think so. Does not track, does not compute.
Yeah, it's and I mean, yes, that could be this super dumb caveat of they say Federation start, they find one, but they could actually just mean they have their own crappy medium like frigate, think, you know, Han Solo in Force Awakens, and they find a shuttle, pull that on board, get the hologram, and now they do have a Federation starship, but that's not what they're on, and kind of like red herring us a little bit. But setting expectations is a dangerous thing. We're all you know, Federation aesthetic is everyone's favorite aesthetic. Don't mess with pure anticipation. You know, if you're gonna say they found a black box, or even something simple as swap roles. If this is Robert Picardo as the other Doctor, same show concept. You know, he's already in the Delta Quadrant. You know, it doesn't need to be Kate Mulgrew. Well, I guess you could have those two holograms meet, couldn't you? Oh, I guess he's from the future. He goes back in time. He comes back in time somehow. I forgot the future bit. No.
Yeah, let's forget about that.
Yeah. Because that was a great story.
Yeah. Bryant Fuller. Name always throws me, man. $5. I also wondering, since it's a Janeway hologram, is it an event? I read that one. Never mind. I'm stupid. Shush you.
Chris, do you think Janeway hologram?
I like the idea. Oh, is that the one you were reading?
Nope. You read yours.
Janeway hologram is there for a guest of Nebula Coffee.
Quest.
A quest for Nebula Coffee. Took the ship there, and the new crew find it.
Maybe.
What were you reading?
Chris says, do you think Janeway hologram will have all the memories? It's kind of season 1 Janeway. She does look season 1 Janeway. I think that's very deliberate. It's kind of like the default Janeway. But memories is an interesting term, because what she'll have is the official reports that Janeway did. So she'll have the, and then she'll abstractly
Personal logs, maybe, and official logs for sure. Yeah.
So she'll be able to abstractly recount what was relayed to her, but there won't be memories, they won't be complete, and they'll certainly be biased as to what was represented, which I think could actually be really fun, because she's only seeing a very specific, she's only going to know a certain perspective, and so you might have somebody, because I have no problem with seeing them deal with aliens they saw in between the episodes. You know, they bump into a species that we never saw, and they say, oh, you know, we found Voyager 8 years ago, I'm like, oh, we never saw that, because retcon, And Janeway, the hologram, is like, oh no, we saved them. But that's what the reports say. In reality, it's a lot more grey. And so Janeway hologram is like, I mean, this is what I remember, but that, and so maybe that'll be part of the evolution of the character Janeway hologram of like, well, I have got to be my own person. But that's another thing though. Is this going to become a sentient hologram like Picardo? Because that feels a bit weird to create a artificial version of Janeway when Janeway's around. I mean, they're doing that for Picard, which is kind of weird that they're making two artificial versions of the two of their characters. Bit weird. But like, is she just going to be a bubbly version of Janeway that can be turned off and has no arc? Or is they going to give an arc for a hologram of another character? And then, what if she actually gets home? Like, is she now a sentient sister to Janeway who doesn't age? You know, a lot of ethical situations, unless they explicitly say in the show Bible, no, they'll never go to the Alpha Quadrant. Like, that's never going to be a thing we're going to do, and so it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. And Dan23, yes, we've admitted that she's in Prodigy. So, yeah. Just want to point that out. Not a banned account, $2 to learn Federation values. Kids need Burnham Hollow. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a much better role model for sure. Yeah.
Maybe O'Brien will make an appearance. O'Brien hologram to fix the ship.
Yeah. Put Riker and O'Brien together, why not? I mean, just all of them, as we know, just all of them.
Yeah, and Corey, you're absolutely right. The hologram can be programmed with the logs, reports, and as physical profile like Geordi did in TNG with Leah Brahms.
Except when you saw both Leah's back-to-back, they're very different people. So thereby also proving wrong how inaccurate it was.
Yep.
And Leah's maybe she's not doing daily logs, and I guess her logs would be more like stale when it comes to tech stuff, but, very different.
Tiburon, what if season 1 cliffhanger reveals that it's a duck blind situation and that the real Janeway is keeping tabs on things via subspace or super subspace? I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing an older Admiral Janeway at some point.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Or even if we get something as simple as this Janeway says, I'm going to help you guys, but I'm going to send a subspace signal to Earth, and, it'll get them and it gets there. And so therefore maybe they do a cut to, 7 years later, and Admiral Janeway's got a message from young Janeway. He's like, oh, how long did it take to get here? 7 years. Oh. Well, it's interesting at least,
Mm-hmm. Let's see. If it'd be cool if at first she was behaving similar to the EMH during the earliest season, and she'd have to face some socializing lessons from those brats. Hey, that's perfectly acceptable. I would think that would be kind of funny, actually. Please state the nature of the training emergency.
See, it feels like that needs to be the obvious joke.
Yeah.
And I feel like Kate would get that and appreciate that, but it's also a non. Oh, Stuart, man. Oh. Oh. There he is, yeah.
There, I'm back now.
Right, it's also a nonsensical statement in itself, which is the funny part, but it's, nonsensical. But I would imagine, though, that the EMH was a temporary program, not really designed to talk to people, just designed to do what he's told. Here's an ill person, fix them. Okay, deactivate. The purpose is different, even though you think bedside manner, but Zimmerman programmed him and he wasn't good at bedside manner. Whereas this is designed to be something that interacts with people. So I'd assume it would be clever, and it's also many generations later. This is the post the EMH Mark III, and so the idea of Zimmerman was big into evolving his tech. So I'm sure just the ability to interact. But given the fact people like Fairhaven, who can be very real feeling, it's it'd be weird if they started from the negative place.
Yeah. Not a banned account puts in $5. Hollow Janeway could be the UFO perception of her legend. Never loses her temper, always in control, like how Star Trek 3 Kirk was idolized as a rule follower.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
It'd be cool to see Janeway, but a different Janeway. I hope she plays it a little differently. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
And do you want to read Gavin's comment?
Guys, set my alarm instead of YouTube for this chat. Glad to be here, but need to head to the office. My staff might wonder why I'm late this morning. Good luck at work. Tell your staff Trekyards is more important. They can do stuff without you until you get there.
I'm sure you've got some sort of screen in the office. Just send around a memo that my favourite cross the channel guy is alive. Everyone watch now, and they want to click like. Because if all of your staff click like, we may get to 300 likes. So if you make that a mandatory suggestion, who knows? Who knows?
Question. Please state the nature of the training emergency. Answer. How do I use the emergency training program?
Answer. I don't know. Ask my creator. It's like, that's not helpful.
Matthew Gilman, $5.
Thank
What
you.
about the Doctor from Living Witness somehow made a Federation ship or Federation-like, simulating his former crew and stuck with Janeway? The problem is that's way in the future. So that doesn't line up at all with the year that we have here. So no, unless there's time anomaly, temporal anomaly that brings that back. I don't know. I don't buy that. Dez puts in $5. It'd be great and cool if Admiral Janeway swoops in at the end of the season and saves them somehow along with Picard and the crew of the E. I mean, you could do something like that with the time period that they're in, I guess. But that's not going to be on season 1, I don't think. No, that's wishful thinking for sure. Let's see. BJ Turon puts in $5. Like to see a small Starfleet ship like DS9's Defiant, Rebels, Ghost, or Klingon Bird of Prey size ship.
Yep. I would
Yeah,
agree. I would
yeah.
agree with that.
Even the Raven would be a good size ship for a
Hey,
crew like this.
Stuart,
So.
another ship in the Delta Quadrant.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's the joke. That's the joke. They did keep finding them. No, I 100% agree. And in fact, that would be. You would think that, when they did things like the Enterprise J, they linked directly off the Nexo 1, and then and when they did the ships in Discovery, they linked to the Discovery, even though it's. You would hope they would say, okay, we've got Voyager Janeway in. Let's make a Voyager-esque ship, but smaller. Like, pull from the art design that they're legacying into, rather than inventing something radically new, so still a similar vibe, obviously smaller, similar cells. That would be nice. It would make sense to link those two directly. Just make it way smaller. But yeah, I mean, that's certainly going to, I'm not saying make or break the show, but the Cerritos is meant to be ugly in its own unique, sexy way. This can be great, especially if it's a test ship or it's a accidental advanced lost ship. And I really want it to look good, but it's only 5 years, and that's before Nemesis, or it's after Nemesis. It was around Nemesis.
It's around Nemesis time.
Actually, his name's 85. It might be before Nemesis, because that was a weird jump. So 83 was the date, wasn't it, for this one?
20. Where is it here? 2383.
Okay, so 4 years after Nemesis then. Which is still not very far.
What? Sorry, I said my earbud. What did you say?
2379 is Nemesis, so
Okay, yeah.
not far after.
Tiburon, $5. Star Trek Online teased a modern Oberth design a couple of weeks ago. Just saying. Well, Star Trek Online is always modernizing older ships' designs, so be cool to have. Actually, an Oberth class for this show would be kind of cool, actually, to see that. Or Miranda. I still blame Reg Barkley. If she has access to Janeway's personal logs, perhaps she'll find herself confronted with some of the mental issues that plagued her at some points, say guilt or loneliness. Or, like, guilt's fine, like, can't... The whole situation around Tuvix might make her explode. Or go offline. Can't wrap my head around where I made that decision.
Oh, they're going to do Tuvix and Lower Decks.
Oh, they're going to have to do some kind of reference, yeah.
Like, they're going to bring back Tuvix, and it's like, the fuck? The absolute fighters rematerialize him? Or, like, retcon it. He didn't die, he was beamed into the future! It's like, what? But actually, no, just to go back, Oberth is interesting. That as a design is so underused, and modernizing wouldn't take very much, but you could easily say that the bottom part is maybe like an experimental drive system, and just the top bit is the ship, and it'd be kind of fun if they then joked about how do we get to the bottom? Like, what? Because I don't know how to use the ship.
Yeah.
But I can imagine they're in like a very small ship and then they find it and dock But I really hope they don't... you want it to look the same but different and familiar yet new. But I really hope it's a very similar art design to either the E or the Voyager, so that, you look at those corridors, and because the lower decks ones are good, but they're a bit big. It's just the format of the show, it's a bit overdone in a few ways. I wish they were a little bit. Actually, they're a good design, just a little bit too big for me, and boxy, a little bit. But you want those moments where they walk through the corridor and it's like, oh yeah, you know, because you would assume actually that when they find the Federation ship, even if the tech is a little bit old, they might start using the tricores and the phasers because it's free hardware. You know, if they've got whatever they have, so I could see them very much like, adhering to that tech, which would be great. And like I say, I can imagine them taking the tact of then they start modifying it, especially if they've got like an engineer. Well, we see him has got all these pouches, so they all start with the Federation tech, and then after 5 episodes, he hands them a new phaser rifle. It's like it's the same thing, but now it's got blue glows. It's got it keeps changing, updating, and modifying things. Like I think that's going to be a fun direction and make it more kid-like, because then you could sell the toys like, oh look, kids, you can do anything. You know, kid's toy, buy a phaser rifle that glows. Yeah.
197 likes, guys. 3 more likes get to 200. That's easily doable. Hit that like button if you haven't. Let's get to 200 likes. Super easy. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think we had a lovely debate. We like there's 2 more likes, $20 more.
Yeah, I was gonna say $20 more. Yeah.
It's up to what you guys want to talk about. I mean, we've what do you guys think? Ask us some Lodex questions. No, Prodigy questions about what you. If you got just throw us some very pointed questions and we will answer them.
Mixon's craziest theory says, how about a lower decks crossover? It would have to take place a little later or play with time, but that could also be fun.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't think they would do that, but I don't think they would match 2 animation styles together. But
well, I mean, just keep it in lower decks. Just keep it in their alternate styles. Just have them literally stay the same.
That's what I mean. I wouldn't want that.
Well, anyway, a fan should make it then. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Is Mulgrew experiencing voice acting? I mean, most actors are experiencing some voice acting. Obviously, she voiced herself in Elite Force. So go and look at that. But she hasn't done much. I mean, she did Legacy, I guess. But I mean, they didn't. Patrick did most of the video games. She didn't do as many.
Sean O'Sullivan, €2. Tuvek's dilemma to replace Kobayashi Maru. Yeah, the Kobayashi Maru is now a 50-50 draw. You walk and you don't know what you're going to get. Have to do the Kobayashi Maru or the Tuvek's thing. I like that. That's good.
But I don't find much of an issue with the Tuvek situation. It seems overblown.
Yeah.
And honestly, similar thing with Kobayashi Maru a little bit. It's like you either choose not to save the civilians because you don't want to start a war, or you say, fuck the war, I'll try and save them. In which case, Starfleet may agree with you because it's saving civilians. It's not right or wrong, it's your personal choice, and you have to deal with the consequences, You can argue either way. It's up to you as a captain, And if the Klingons choose to attack you to help save civilians, that's on them. They're starting a war at that point. They're trying to kill you. They're trying to save people. I don't know.
Dan23 says that Trekyards.
Yes.
As mentioned before, Lower Decks Season 1, Eagle Moss will produce models of ships from the show. Absolutely.
Obviously.
Of course they will. Yeah.
It just takes a bit of time, and they obviously want to do them all at the same time. Although, Picard stuff's just coming out when there's least interest in Picard.
Yeah, well, tiring.
Yeah. If they
super tired.
If they take 9 months to make, what do you expect? And they never get the models ahead of time, they really should. And even if they do, they got changed. Like, I know they had to change. There's loads of stories about that, but they had to change versions because they just changed the model in between the final and not final.
Yeah, Tuvix needs a spin-off.
Well, as long as it was in the One Division style, where there's both characters and they become one character in certain scenes.
Oh, good God.
Yes. But guys, $17 and throw us some questions. I genuinely want to know questions. Whatever you want to know about.
Well, T. Reed True throws in $10. So thank you so much.
Close.
I'm excited for the CG animation, you guys. I am too.
Yeah.
I really love CG animation. It's kind of my jam ever since like Beast Wars. But Beast Wars is so bad. It's not really. I really enjoy it actually. But I enjoy CG stuff. It's a lot easier, or it's a lot harder to screw up CG animation, especially like the colors and stuff. and characters, but I really enjoy CG stuff. I've wanted a CG Star Trek show for a while now, so I'm super stoked to see this, and hopefully it's good. I want to see a Starfleet ship and interiors really nicely done in CG.
So the good and the bad. The good thing about Lower Decks is it's not going to age because it's its own style.
Yeah.
This will age, but if you look at the faces, the face isn't that detailed, relatively speaking. Like, they're keeping it out of the realm of reality a bit. Like, the hair is okay, whereas the costume is actually very, like, texturally, that's actually very close to what the red should be. That's actually very, very good, but that's easy to get right. So they're doing a clever thing, relatively speaking. So yeah, I mean, it'll age, but as long as it's nice. It depends how ambitious they are, and a lot of it will be in terms of their motion. And, like, will their mouths fit? Like, are they really going to match every single, like, syllable, or is it going to be more, like, abstract? Like, that's hard. I know programs sort of automate a little bit, but, yeah, it depends. And it depends if it's grounded. Like, Lower Decks, like, people can run and jump way higher than people. If this is, like, super grounded and super real, but also it's a kids show, so it might be super exaggerated, and they're doing, like, oh my god! Ah! And then, running away, and... We'll see. It's a fair image. I don't necessarily think it looks like Mulgrew particularly. Like, if you changed it...
I disagree. I think it looks a lot like her.
Yeah, I think if you just changed her uniform to, like, a TOS one and changed her hair to black, you wouldn't be like, oh, that's Janeway. You'd be like, oh, it's a TOS character. You know what I mean? But it's not trying to be photoreal.
Yeah. Kirk Solo says, what do you guys think about the crew lineup despite quite a departure from normal humanoid aliens, also a droid? Thoughts? Well, we've already talked about that in another live when we first got the crew announced, which was a while ago. So I'd suggest going back and talking about that, because that whole live was talking about that.
But we don't think anything. Although now we're more informed now, because now we know a bit more. In the sense that we weren't excited because there was nothing interesting in them per se. But now we know the Delta Quadrant species, they're now more interesting because now they're like, it makes sense for them to be new. But how... It's like asking us, what do you think of Anthony Rapp being cast in Season 1 before we knew who he was? It's like, I mean, it's a guy. He was in musicals. That doesn't tell anything about him in the show. So until we see... ask us for Episode 1. I mean, it would have been nice to have one more familiar, like 2 familiars, 3 new. Like a Vaudois, like a Herogen. That I think would have been stronger. Personally, keep that slightly more familiar vibe. I'm sure they'll like find other ones, and that'll be the big gimmick. But yeah.
Matt Boardman, $10. Thank you so much, Matt. Do you think we'll get more Trek Golden Age style stories, or are we relegated to Silver Age style? Well, I think we'll get a few Golden Age ones for sure mixed in here. The problem is with non-episodic format. I mean, if the season's telling a story and it's not great, you don't have other ones to choose from. You don't have 26 adventures to choose from. So that's the problem.
Yep. Lower Decks benefits from you can very much pinpoint which stories you enjoyed and didn't enjoy. Whereas you look back at Discovery Season 1, you're like, well, I like the Mirror Universe 3-parter, some of it. And, it's like, oh, that chunk and that chunk, nah. Whereas episodic, I mean, I think it'll have to be episodic, just, I want to know what their overall arc is. I doubt they're going to start unless they're like, people they're all orphans. They're in a bad part of the neighborhood, and Janeway is like, in the Federation it's all great. They're like, you know what? Let's go. She's like, oh, okay. And so it's kind of Voyager vibe, which is although weird idea to have just going towards the Alpha Quadrant again. But I mean, I'm not against it conceptually.
Mario says, so what is this age of Trek? Burlap? No, this is the Silver Age of Star Trek. The Golden Age was back in the day with Voyager, DS9, and TNG, and the movies. And
yeah. The Platinum Age was TOS Season 1 and 2, where the stories were like, for the time, rocking every, they're just hitting balls out of the air and, like pushing the limits of what sci-fi was in terms of television, etc. Then Golden Age was TNG, and then getting more and more dull gold as time goes on, but yeah. And then Discovery is the
Copper Age.
Well,
everything's copper colored.
Yes, you sold me on that. And lower decks is the surprisingly shiny silver. It's like, ooh, okay.
Yeah.
And then hopefully we're in a, yeah.
John Shamness, $5. I'm concerned about the Star Wars Forces of Destiny vibes. I don't know what that means specifically.
Oh,
but...
yeah, that's the all-women show? Which I have never actually seen. Did that actually come out? Yeah, 2 seasons. Wow, I obviously am, we obviously reviewed Star Wars stuff, and I didn't even know that came out. And that came out 2 years ago. 2 and 3 years ago. So it focused on Ahsoka, Jyn Erso, Maz Kanata, Rey, Sabine, Padme, Leia, Rose Tico, and
this is a show?
It was animated, yeah. It was all the ladies. Kathleen Kennedy, Force of Destiny, the women take over. But it was a weird 2D style. But I didn't see any of it. Wow, that literally, I just saw... I literally saw all the trailers and thought, is it coming out at some point? And never, ever heard... Did you guys like it? I mean, only got 2 seasons. So I don't know if it was liked, but did people like it?
They're on YouTube, apparently. Okay, I don't know. They're short Star Wars on YouTube. Okay. John Shamness. Huh. Oh, yeah, I read that one already. I should just stop now. No, I haven't even heard of it. I remember seeing Kathleen Kennedy and some people wearing Force of Destiny shirts on a stage, but they didn't know what the hell that meant. So they didn't market it very well, if that's the case, because damn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the Ashoka one was good.
Corzion, I like it. Kelvin Timeline's the lens flare age. I like it.
And the thing about lens flares is it's all light. There's no substance to it. There's nothing there. It's just a flash. It's just a flash in the pan.
Or it's the whatever Uhura's necklace is made out of. It's that age. It's the creep age.
Okay. Oh,
that's fun.
Damn. Well, guys, I think that's it for now. We got 141 likes. I mean, if we can get 9 more likes real quick, that'd be awesome. 8 more now, 150. But we've hit our goals. So, another $15 would actually be great. But anyway.
But I have a question, though, that the fans can be directly responsible for and make us. Because we do want to do another live tomorrow. Have a 5 live week. These have been really, really good lives. It's been a lot of fun. What do you guys want us to talk about? Or would you like another top 10? Because those are always quite fun. I know it depends what it is.
You need time, and I got stuff to do, man. I got to do my deck. Power wash my deck.
That's why I'm asking the audience. What would you like to have us talk about tomorrow? See if the 180 of you can come with a consensus. Is that possible?
No.
Or if you want to be really cheeky, say the highest super chat decides what we talk about, but that's really cheeky. That's such a bad thing to do. I'm not going to do that. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Top 10 Michael Burnham moments.
Well, it'll all be season 3, wouldn't it?
Oh, tomorrow is also Hasbro Pulse Fan Fest. Oh, damn. I'll have to look into that. Any topics on your minds to pick from? Not really.
That's why we're asking. We could come up with our own idea, but anything that may just...
Well, tomorrow we could do the lead into season 5 of...
Well, that's a drinking one, though. So, I mean, I don't know.
Oh, it's casual drinking, not like super chat for our drinks. We're just having a drink when we do our reviews. Our synopsis. I
mean, what do you guys think? Would you like to just do the season 5 TNG casual drink prediction? We'll go through every episode of the season and give our official pre-review thoughts, and then you vote whoever gets more accurate. Which is what we do for every show. Hey, if you guys will be here for that, I mean, we need enough people to kind of make that a fun game because the votes actually matter.
And it's generally a longer one, so we might start an hour early if we do that, though.
Yeah.
Start at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
If you guys turn up, it's yeah.
John Shamness, $5. Speculations about the DS9 tablet on Picard trailer. That's actually a good idea, because we kind of know what tablet that might be. But I don't think we could talk 2 hours about that.
Yeah, I feel like I've talked about that because we did that in our edited review and we had a really good conversation. So I'm kind of like, yeah. Talked about it.
Yeah. We could do something on Strange New Worlds. Well, we could. We've talked about Strange New Worlds and what we'd like to see, but I mean that would round out a good week of new Trek, even though we didn't get anything.
It did occur to me
for Strange New Worlds. That's an idea. That's an idea.
Guys, you vote right now. Do you want Strange New Worlds or TNG Season 5? Vote now, forever hold your peace.
And just the lead up to Season 5 of TNG reviews. Keep that in mind, guys.
Yeah, not the whole season.
Each episode, just the title, and try to give a recap of what we think it's about.
It's a lot of fun. Vote now! Vote now!
Do it.
TNG Season 5 or Stranger Worlds? Vote.
Stranger Worlds, TNG Season 5, Season 5, Stranger Worlds. Oh, jeez. Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds. That's funny.
That's good. That's a good.
That's really good old gamer. I like that.
That's smart.
TNG Season 5.
I'm surprised how that's feel like a landslide to me.
For what? I see it's pretty fair. It's pretty balanced.
Well, I feel Stranger Worlds definitely has a couple more.
I wouldn't mind talking about Stranger Worlds, but what are we going to talk about that we haven't already talked about?
Everything.
Okay, that's the next super chat. Whoever you decide, TNG Season 5 or Stranger Worlds.
Oh, okay, yeah. And it'll end right after that. Shit.
It has to be a $5 super chat. I'm just saying that right now.
Okay. And then I'm gonna put I'm going back to the OBS and my fingers on the pulse to close it.
Matt Bowman's like DS9, just to be different.
Just to be annoying. Oh, DS9 does appear in TNG at some point, so we'll get DS9 eventually by very nature.
00Zim00 review bloopers. I thought the same thing like 2 weeks ago. I was watching some bloopers from Season 5 of TNG on YouTube, and I'm like, we should do a bloopers live, but we'd have to show them probably.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that would be copyrighted.
Are they smart enough to fight? Yeah. It's an interesting experiment.
That would be a good top 10 list. Actually, our favorite top 10 Star Trek bloopers of all time, because there's so many.
Yeah. That's
actually a good one. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. But obviously we submit the same list to each other and therefore have the same bloopers. Because there's only so many, isn't there? Oh, there we go. The first person did, and they win. So what are we doing today? Tomorrow. Not today.
Tomorrow we're doing a TNG Season 5 lead-up, where we are going to be casually sipping drinks and giving you our quick synopsis from our memories of each episode. And you guys have to decide out of the two of us who got it most accurate. And we'll probably start at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if that's okay with Samuel.
Probably yes.
Probably yes. We'll let you know. Keep your eyes out. Make sure you got notification bell icon. Click to all so you get notified, which you won't anyway. But go to the Facebook group. You'll get told there. Matt Boardman, $5. Top 10 Badmirals.
He wrote it down for you, Matt. That's good though. Cool. Well, we look forward to seeing Janeway and fake Janeway, hollow Janeway, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So until then,
that's right.
He is a hologrammatic.
Sergeant puts in $5. Delta Quadrant, Subspace, Snipe, Star Trek bloopers. All right, Star Trek bloopers is on the list for the future. It will happen at some point.
So anyway. From emergency YouTube Star Trek host Stuart Foley
and emergency YouTube Star Trek host / creator / fan film expert / super CGI guru / editor / amazing filmmaker / director /
sex symbol,
very talented
/ gay sex symbol.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
/ gay sex symbol / incredibly sexy British lad Samuel Cockings. We'll
and just for clarity, I'm not gay, but I've had a lot of people saying I'm a good-looking person who are gay, and so I take that as a lovely compliment. So that's what I
Yes.
meant, just for clarity.
Oh, we got another super chat though. Not a bad account, $5. TNG season 5. Thank you for renewing my faith in the 98th survival position. Every man has his. And on that note, we will let you go. See you tomorrow, guys.
Good night, guys.